You know, we live in a world where it feels like everything gets shared. Our morning coffee, our vacations, our big life wins. But have you ever stopped to think about those people who are always online, yet totally invisible? They're scrolling, they're watching, but they never ever post. They are the quiet observers in our digital world. And that really brings us to the big question we're tackling today. In an age where oversharing is just, well, sharing, why do some people make the very deliberate choice to share absolutely nothing? It's a really interesting puzzle because maybe you know someone just like this, or, hey, maybe this is you. So the easy answer, right? The one that we all kind of jump to is that they're just shy. You know, they're introverts, or maybe they just don't have anything interesting going on. It's a simple, neat little box to put them in.
But what if that's not it at all? What if that silence isn't a sign of emptiness, but actually a sign of something much, much deeper? The psychology behind this is way more complex, and honestly, it's a peek into a quiet rebellion against the whole perform for the camera culture we're all swimming in. And that's our first big idea here. This is not a passive silence. For a lot of these folks, it's a very active, very conscious decision. It is a form of quiet rebellion against that constant pressure to be seen, to be liked, to be validated.
So let's just blow up some of these common assumptions. We assume they're shy, but in reality, it's often about having control over their own story. We think their silence means they're empty, when actually, they're some of the most keen observers out there. And where we might see them as absent, they're actually deeply introspective, figuring out who they are without all that digital noise.
And this quote it nails it, doesn't it? In a world that demands you show everything, deciding what parts of your life you keep just for yourself, that is a serious form of power. That's self-possession.
Okay, so let's dig into how this builds into something even bigger. We're talking about a fundamental, internal shift in how people see their own value, completely separate from what's happening on a screen.
This is absolutely the core of it. Think about it, every post is kind of a little audition for approval. When you decide to step off that stage, you stop measuring the value of your life in likes and comments. Your self-worth starts to come from inside you, not from the claps of a digital crowd.
There's this brilliant psychological concept that explains this perfectly. It's called psychological ownership. Imagine you're watching a beautiful sunset. If you just watch it, that experience, that memory, is 100% yours. But the second you post it, it's now about the comments, the DMs, what other people think. You've kind of made it public property. By not posting, people are fiercely protecting ownership over their own lives.
And we've got to remember, this constant need to share and perform for an audience, it's not a natural human instinct. It's a behavior we have been trained to do, conditioned over years by platforms designed to get us hooked.
And here's exactly how they do it. It's the dopamine loop. Step 1, you post something. Step 2, you get that sweet, sweet validation, likes, comments, shares. Step 3, your brain gives you a little hit of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. And then, the most important part, step 4, your brain learns, hey, performing for others gets me a reward. Pretty soon, you're not just living your life, you're thinking about how to package it for an audience.
So what happens when you decide to break that loop? Well, the benefits are pretty incredible. People develop what's called a stronger internal locus of control. That just means their happiness comes from within. They report feeling more emotionally stable, having higher life satisfaction, and maybe the best part, they rediscover the pure, simple joy of doing things just for themselves.
All right, so we've talked about the internal shift, but here's the wild part. Being quieter online can actually lead to much deeper, much more real connections in the offline world. It's a total paradox.
Exactly. You stop chasing this kind of hollow feeling of digital closeness, that giant net of hundreds of friends. And you start investing your time and energy in real, solid relationships. You start noticing who checks in on you without a public post to prompt them.
This quote just says it all. The most meaningful moments between people are the ones you can't post. They're the inside jokes, the comfortable silences, the things that exist in that quiet space between you, not on a public feed for everyone to see.
And really, it all boils down to a deep sense of security in who you are. When you're truly comfortable in your own skin, you just don't need that external validation anymore. That silence isn't loneliness you're feeling. It's peace.
So where does this leave us? We're not just talking about social media habits anymore. We're really talking about a whole philosophy for how to live in this crazy modern world, a new way of thinking about what it means to be present and to be valuable.
And this, right here, might be the most important takeaway of all. Our culture has hammered this idea into our heads that to matter, you have to be visible. That if you didn't post it, it didn't really happen. This quiet rebellion is pushing back hard against that flawed idea.
Just let that one sink in for a second. Some of the most important moments in life, grief, joy, personal growth, they happen when no one is watching. They don't need an audience to be real. In fact, sometimes an audience just makes them cheaper.
So in the end, this is what that silence is really about. It's understanding that not being seen isn't the same as being alone. And being silent doesn't mean you're empty. It means that some moments are just too sacred to be turned into content. It's about protecting the real you, that connection between who you are on the inside and the person you show to the world.
And that's the simple, powerful truth that the quiet ones remind us of. Life is not a performance. We're not all just actors on a digital stage. We're meant to be people, messy, beautiful, complicated, and totally unfiltered.
So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. In your own life, what's that one memory, that one feeling, that one experience that is so completely yours, so precious, that you would never, ever turn it into a post? The answer tells you a lot about what you really value.
Hey, if this explainer got you thinking and you enjoyed this deep dive, do us a favor and subscribe to the channel for more like it. We'd genuinely love to hear your own thoughts on this down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching.